Hi, it's Adrian. So in this tutorial, we're going to look into characters in Mythril2D. At the end of this video, you should be able to create your own characters and make them playable. Let's get started. So first, I want to go over the different prefabs that exist and that are available for you to create variants from. So you can go to Demo, then Prefabs, Entities, and Characters. So this prefab, 0 character base, is like the base prefab for any character in Mythril2D. You can see it has a bunch of children game object as well as a canvas. So the canvas contains the effects, the name, the health, and the mana bar of the character. So you can feel free to disable anything you don't want, like the mana bar, the health bar, the name, whatever you want. So I'm going to keep everything turned on for now. And what I'm going to do is show you the different types of base prefabs you have. So for each character type, so hero, monster, or NPC, you'll find a prefab called 0 underscore the type, so hero, and then underscore base. So if I look in monsters, I'll find 0 monster base. And if I look in NPC, I'll find 0 NPC base. So the reason I prefixed all of these prefabs with 0 underscore is so that they show up first inside of the project browser. So we're gonna try and create a new character that is gonna be a hero. So you can see all of these heroes that are already built into the demo game. I'd just like to bring your attention on the archer for directional. So if you are using the 3.0 update and not the 3.1 update, you'll notice that the animator, the sprite renderer, and the sprite library under animation strategy are not set. So they should be set to none. So that is a bug. I forgot to add them. So you can just set them up by clicking on the little icon to select the object and selecting the same elements as I did right here. So body for the animator, body for the sprite renderer, and for the sprite library, well, there should be only 2 options, icon or archer for directional. So take the first one. And that should fix the issue with this release. So we are gonna create a character from the hero base prefab. So to do that, we start by right-clicking on it, hitting create, and then we go under prefab, if I find it, oh, it's here, prefab variant, and we're gonna name it custom hero. So now if I double click on it, I can see that it's completely naked. So to address that, I can go to the inspector and look under the sprite library. I can see the default sprite library is selected. If I hit this little button, I can select another sprite library like adventurer, archer, Devon, anything you want. So you want to select something that is a sprite library for a character. So if you select like the diamond sword, it's not gonna work super well. So I'd recommend using something like Devon, archer, or bandit, etc. So before moving forward, I'm gonna introduce you to the sprite libraries that are set up in Mythril2D. So to do that, I'm gonna type in the project view slib underscore Devon, and I click on it, and then I can click the little cross, and it's gonna show me the folder that has all the sprite libraries. So one of them should be slib default. I can click on it, and then in the inspector I can select open in sprite library editor, and from there I should see all the frames for this default character. So it's the naked character guy. So basically, if you want to create your own sprite library, you need to first import a sprite sheet into Unity, and then you have to create a variant of this sprite library and fill out all the frames with the proper animations. So let's go a little bit further and look into sprite sheets. So sprite sheets, as you can see here, they mostly come from this guy, Analog Studios, which is a really cool creator on itch.io. And all of these sprite sheets that you see in Mythril2D are coming from him. So all of these, king, knight, merchant, monk, I've updated them to all have the same format. So if I open any of these sprite sheets in the sprite editor, I can see that there are a number of different sprites. So basically the slicing has been made manually by cell size. I use the cell size of 24 and then I hit slice. I'm not gonna do it here, otherwise it's gonna override this sprite sheet, but feel free to do it for your newly imported sprite sheets. If you look at this sprite sheet, you can see that the first line is gonna be 4 frames of idle animation. The second line is gonna be 4 frames of movement animation, so like the walk cycle. The third line is gonna be the hit animation, and the fourth line is gonna be the death animation. So you can decide to respect that inside of your sprite sheets for consistency, or you can go with any layout you want. When you import your sprite sheet, you also want to make sure that the pixel per unit setting is set to 16. You also want the sprite mode to be multiple. And you want to disable compression over here. Oh, and one thing, the filter mode, you need to make sure it's point. Otherwise, your character is going to look pretty blurry. Once everything is set here, you can hit apply and you should be good to go. Or you can just use one of the sprite sheet that is already included with the demo game. So let's go back to our sprite libraries. So slib default, I click on it and then I click the X. So this way I can be inside of the folder that contains this sprite library. So now if I right click on the sprite library default, I can hit create and I can hit 2D, sprite library, asset variant. I'm gonna call it slib my new character. And I'm gonna open in SpriteLib editor. Here you can see all the frames are set to the default character frames, but you can override all of these by using your new character. So you'll need to find all of your poses in there. So I'm not gonna do it here, so I'm gonna just delete this sprite library. And what we're gonna do for our new character is that we're gonna use a sprite library that already exists. So for our custom hero, we are currently using the Bandit sprite library asset. So once we have this sprite library set to our new prefab variant, what we want to do is create a sheet for our character. So basically a sheet is gonna specify all the settings for your character as well as its name, maybe its abilities, and a bunch of other things. So to do that, we go into our project folder and we're gonna create a new folder called character sheets. I go inside and I can right click, create, Mythril2D, characters, and hero sheet. We're gonna call it CS_custom hero. Now that we created the character sheet, we can see inside of the inspector, we have all of these settings. So of course you could have also duplicated a character sheet that was already in the demo game. So the hit audio, the death audio, and everything would have been automatically filled out for you. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm gonna create everything with you. So for the base stat, we're gonna put everything at 5. Points per level determine how many attribute points your hero is gonna unlock whenever they level up. We can try to set it to 1, for instance. And for the evolution profile, well, we can put an initial value of 100 and a scale of 10. Then using this slider, you can preview how much experience your player needs to get to level up. So you can adjust that based on your game. Then for the hit audio, I'm going to select the hit sound. And for the death audio, I'm going to select the death sound. For the display name, we're going to call it Custom Hero. Very inspired. Abilities per level, we're going to hit plus. And we're going to give this character the ability that is Fireball. We're going to set the minimum level to 1, which means that whenever this character hits the level 1, it's going to unlock this ability. Then we can add a second ability that is going to be unlocked at level 2, and we're going to select the dash ability. Now I can hit save, and we can assign this hero sheet to our prefab. So click on custom hero right here, go down until you see the hero script, and we're going to look for the character sheet right here. I'm going to hit this button, and I'm going to select the custom hero character sheet. Now I can look at all the settings here, see if they are okay with me. I think so. One setting that is very important is the controller. So by default, if you create a hero, you're going to see a player controller here, but you could use an AI controller or anything else if you want to implement it in C#. You'll also see the animation strategy is set to bidirectional, but you can also use the polydirectional animation strategy. If you want an example of how to use the polydirectional animation strategy, you can take a look at the 4-directional archer. All right, I think we're all set with our character. Now, the last step is going to be to add the character to the main menu so we can start a new game with this character. So I'm going to go over to the main menu. And there you'll find a few buttons: Wizard, Knight, Archer, and Devon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the Wizard button by our new Bandit character. I'm going to click on this button, and then in the inspector you should be able to see the unclick event under the button component. So when the button is clicked, what's going to happen is that it's going to call the start new game from default save file method in C# with a save file for the wizard. You can see sf_wizard means save file for wizard. I can see that I have a couple default save files inside of the demo game, and I can see that there is no save file for my new character. So I need to create one. So to do that, I can simply open the database window by clicking on Window, Mythril2D, Database. So the database window is really useful because it has all of the different scriptable objects that Mythril2D uses. So I can go over Save File and click on any of these save files. When I click on it, I can see that my project window also updates. So now I can click on SF Wizard and duplicate it, and I'm gonna call it SF_custom hero. Now I can look in the inspector and expand the content structure. Then I can expand the player structure, hero data, and you'll find there equipped abilities. So by default, Fireball is going to be equipped, which is okay because we have the Fireball ability inside of this character. If instead I duplicated the Archer, I would have had a different ability here. It's very important to make sure that the equipped abilities you set here match what you set in the character sheet. You cannot add an ability here that you didn't unlock yet. Otherwise, you're going to have some errors. So in this case, Fireball is fine. Then you'll notice that there is an instance property that is taking a prefab reference. So if I try to select another prefab reference, I can also see that I don't have one for my new character. So same process, I'll need to create one. So I go back to the database, click on prefab reference, I click on the wizard, I duplicate it, and I call it custom hero. So prefab references are necessary for the save system to be able to load back a prefab. So I won't go into the technical details regarding why this is the case, but you can read more about it in the documentation. So now that I have my prefab reference, I can update the actual reference to my character. So we call it custom hero, so let's select it right here. Now I can go back to my save file, so I can find it in the database. And I can update the prefab reference here. All good. Now we can go back to our main menu, but first I'm going to put the database somewhere out of the way. And I can click on the wizard. And now I can edit the save file here to use the custom hero save file. Of course, I can also change the text to be Bandit or custom hero or whatever you want. Now if I hit play and I click on Bandit, I can see that I'm starting the game with our new character and that the ability that is equipped is the one we set inside of the save file. So the process of creating a new character is very similar whether you're creating a hero, a monster, or an NPC. You'll just find different settings in each different type of character sheet. So if I look at a monster sheet like skeleton, I'll see that you have stats, initial stats, and an evolution profile, as well as evolution scale. Basically, monsters are characters with stats that automatically scale based on their level. They can also have some potential loot. So you can choose exactly what item should be obtainable after killing this or that monster. You can also add conditions, but we'll go through them a bit later in the tutorial series. And for NPCs, you'll find these settings. I'd like to bring your attention to the alignment setting. Basically, good and evil are enemies, and neutral, they don't do much. So if you set a character to be good and another one to be evil, and one of them is an AI controller, then it's going to try to attack the opposite alignment. Now let's do a small modification to our custom hero. What I want to do is I want to enable the effects, name, health, and mana bar of this character. So now if I hit play, I can see all of the status effects applied to this character, its name, its level, as well as its resource bars. You can toggle these game objects for any character in your game. And that is it for the characters tutorial. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope to see you soon for the next tutorial. Cheers!